Perfect. Evening, everybody. Evening.
Hello, everyone.
All right, even though we're recording this, we're going to give everybody, give some more people some time. We had actually just north of, I think, like 45 or 50 people RSVP. So I'm sure with it being a Sunday, some people are waiting for that reminder on their phone or something along those lines. Good news is this is being recorded, so we'll be able to connect with everybody afterwards at some point in the future too. Love your background, Louis.
Thank you. Rachel, how are things in Florida?
Do we have the Q and hopefully, like, I wonder if people can chat. See, we're learning this. We're learning. Ooh, looks like we do have some chats going, so that's good. Okay, cool. Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Olivia, thank you. Oh, and yeah, so um, with this being a webinar, while we can see who is kind of in the webinar, the event, the actual participant video and voice is off. So that said, by all means, use the chat. Not a problem whatsoever. I haven't brought my, let's see if I can do this. I haven't brought my water bottle. So like my water, oh, see it, like, oh, see, I can put it like right there on the table if it, like, the camera picks it up.
Oh,
Let's see, give people maybe, let's give them like one more minute and let's kick this sucker off here.
sounds good to me. Oh, I see we have Craig. Laura, I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm assuming Buffalo, New York. I'm out here in Ithaca. Um, the weather was not great today. Hopefully we get some sun soon.
All right, Louis, we're about 5 minutes into this. Oh yeah, New York, Buffalo, New York. I assume, Louis, like, because I read where there was another earthquake in New Jersey, but I would assume that you're not even close to that.
No,
So
I didn't feel the one last time, but back home on that side of New York, people were saying they felt it. So
yeah.
no earthquake here.
All right, cool. Louis, I'm gonna let you kick it off whenever you're ready.
Yes. All right, let's get this show on the road. I want to welcome everyone to SADD's Online Power Hour Fireside Chat event series. I am Louis Pratt, the National President of SADD, and I'm also a New York Community Engagement Specialist and sit on the Board of Directors. This series is brought to you by our sponsor, the Christmas opportunity for me. I'm going to take a pause because Siri just went off when I started talking. Apologies. Okay, I'm not going to say the name of the agency right now before it triggers it again, but this is an opportunity for me and SADD's new Executive Director, Scott Myers, here to have a sit-down conversation on SADD, where we've been, where we're going, and even how you can play a role in that journey. That said, let me welcome and introduce our Executive Director, Scott. Welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, Louis. I appreciate it. As always, we've not only communicated, many a times virtually, but got to see each other in person at the Lifesavers Conference in Denver. And your commitment and dedication to SAD is top notch. So I just want to say thanks to you for that, and thanks for helping with this event. And since you won't say it, I'll say it so Siri doesn't catch it. But our sponsor, the Chrismore Agency, they help put some funds in order to do this series. So not just this one, but the coming one. So just a shout out to them.
Yes, awesome. It's my pleasure, Scott. So, some housekeeping for our attendees and those who are watching this later on. This is a three-part fireside chat series. Scott and I are going to discuss some different topics, so please ask questions. We'll help provide answers. And yeah, you're an attendee. Let's get you engaged, empowered, mobilized, all the things we're trying to do. So, this event is being recorded and will be shared sometime after the conclusion, especially if you can't make it so that you can watch it and really understand what we're talking about. We wanted this to kind of be a session for all of SAD Nation, whether you're a student, parent, advisor, donor, all the things. And so for those who are attending live, again, there is a chat Q&A function. So please feel free to drop your questions or thoughts there. We can't promise we'll get to them, but we will take note regardless. Anything to add, Scott?
No, I just want to thank everybody for making the time. I know that I even dropped it in the chat. We had about 45 to 50 signed up, which when Louis and I were talking about this, in complete transparency, we didn't know. So I'm excited that even if not all 50 people can attend, I'm excited that there's interest. I'm hoping that this kind of builds on and we can have more and more of these. So while we're having this kind of first three-part chat, I think that as long as the interest is there and we have the opportunity to really bring people together under the mission and vision of SAD, more power to it. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the other two coming here in the next month. So yeah, just a huge thanks and again, really appreciate it, Louis.
Yeah, awesome. So today's topic is empowerment. So when it comes to students, especially in the case of SAD students, where does empowerment turn into change, Scott?
Yeah, so I guess I kind of wanted to kick off and really say that empowerment at its root is really kind of giving someone the space or really like the power to do something. So when it comes to students, I don't think there's another organization that elevates the need for students to really share knowledge. Knowledge can be transformative. Like it really is at the root, like what makes things tick, like and what things work. And so, when we're talking about empowerment, share your story, share your knowledge. um, listen to other people's stories. Like, it's amazing how much we can learn from each other just by listening, and for students too. Um, I'll stop right here. I've told this to other people. First off, I'm a huge history buff. I love history. I am definitely one of those that I'm a nonfiction reader that dives into history, and I think it is absolutely admirable that if you were to look back at most of the social movements, especially in this country, but most of the social movements have been started or at least furthered and embraced by the youth of the time, like every single one of them. And so, when you share your knowledge, you share your story, you listen to others, you stand up for others, you embrace positivity, build your network. It's something that I think we take for granted. Like, everybody just wants to talk, right? Like, talk, 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 talk. And I think there's an opportunity for people to listen and raise each other up. And I think SADD is an organization that really wants, and I mean this sincerely, like I think SADD really wants to elevate the voices of our youth, of our students. But it requires the empowerment, the platform, the opportunity to do that, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you, Scott. I know one of the biggest things that, SAD is super proud of is all of our different student leadership councils and all the students that really fall under the umbrella. A bunch of the projects that SAD has done in the last year or so, I mean, all the years, but especially in the last year, have been student led because, SAD staff allows the students to feel empowered and give them that platform to shine and do the things that they want to do, which is really great. I mean, especially for me, who's been a part of all the different sides of SAD, getting to not be like, what Scott wants us to do this exact thing, we're going to do it. And that's not the case here, which is so nice. Um, because, I don't always love being told what to do. But yeah, so I think really we talk about here being peer to peer is super important because, I'm a student. I listen to my professors talk to me all day. My peers listen to the same thing. So if we can empower the students to empower each other, it's going to be way more successful than it is if it's adults just preaching at them again and again.
You, you know what's funny, and I'll give a personal example. So I'm a father. I have three daughters, and my oldest is 21, almost 22. My middle daughter is 19, almost 20, and then my youngest is almost 12 years old. And they have all, obviously, based on their age, have all gone through, they're at different stages, right? And as a parent, I always tell, especially my older two, but and especially my oldest, like who's actually, she's graduating from nursing school here in a couple weeks. And I had a conversation with her not too long ago. I said, as a father for like someone super young, like, it's so easy to be like, okay, don't do this, do this, like, you made a mistake, let me fix it for, like, it's so easy to do that. But to when your kids, or at least with my kids, when they get to a certain point, like, my parenting has to shift, right? And because they're coming into their own, like, they're getting ready to embark on the life that, like, they either want to create or hope to create or something like that. And I actually think that's related to empowerment, right? Like, as a parent, like, I think that you have to empower your kids, especially at a certain point in their life, to go out there and take it, and then reach for it and set the goals and do it. And therefore, for me, it's got to go from, well, you shouldn't do this or you need to do this, to how can I help? Give them a platform. Do more listening and less preaching, and, like, do those kind of things. So I think that, like, I think SAD is a lot like, it's almost a lot like that, to where we really do need to listen. Like, we really do need to you know give students the platform to say what's on their mind, to talk about what's important to them, to develop programming and the ways that we, interact the community in order to address those kind of needs, to have a youth voice, right? Like
Yeah.
you just have to.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because it's like the youth know what they're passionate about, so like let them do that thing that they're passionate about. You can't force them to do something and they don't want to do, and then they're just not going to be passionate about it, and then there's no quality in the work that they're going to do. It's you see so much more success when they make it a passion project.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, SADD has been around since 1981. And at the heart of our founding and what has continued today is that we have to involve students in real issues, issues that are important to them. Um, and even better, we're going to work side by side. Like to your point, like if Scott's going to like come in with a flag and like put it down in the ground and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. But the Louis of the world are like, boy, like this is not even on our radar. Like you're not going to get me away from the computer at all for this. Like then then what are we doing? Right? Like then it's we're mismatched and we can't do that. And I'll even go one step further. One of the things, when we talk about empowerment, one of the things that I, even to this day, I've now been on board SAD as the executive director for a little over 3 months now. But you know, I committed to coming in minimum one ear open, if not both ears open, as the new executive director. It was important to come into a youth-driven, youth-empowered organization, thinking that all the answers lied with me. Like that's not right. It was really important to come in. A mentor taught me a long time ago. Uh, Shout out Coach Rick Thompson, my freshman high school basketball coach. Just shout out to Rick Thompson. If I could ever find him again, I'm going to send him this because this will be a good feather in his cap. But you know, he taught me a long time ago that you can't learn anything when all you're doing is talking. All you're doing is talking. I think the Dalai Lama said, um, when you talk, you're only repeating what you already know. But when you listen, you may actually learn something new. I could totally be paraphrasing what the Dalai Lama said. Somebody can Google that and let me know if that's true or not. But we're going to go on that.
Yeah, that's a really great point to have too, Scott. Just like, having your ears open and listening. And I think that's something that just needs to be, spoken about more. For lack of better words, obviously, we're talking about talking too much, but sometimes the youth just feel like their voices like don't need to be heard. I know there's been a couple times, we're just in like real life situations. I'm out doing things in the world, and like last week I was grocery shopping, and this lady just came over and started searching my bag like I was stealing something. I was like, "No, I'm not." And she was like, "Oh, well, you're a young college student. I have to do this." And I was like, "What?" And I've had this experience at the cell phone store where they were like, "Oh, you're so smart for your age." And I was like, "Why can't I just be so smart?" It's that, the youth directed ageism, and there's such like a generational divide that I think like if we each like listen to each other, we could, bridge that gap.
Yeah, and I'll even go one step further, Louis. I think, first off, I couldn't agree more. And I actually think it's incumbent upon us as adults or parents or whoever to even break down that stigma that we're the stingy old people that like can't trust the Louis that are going through the supermarket, right? Like, how can we really work together to listen? And then at some point empower the voice of what is needed. So yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'm glad you brought that up. It's a good real life example. That's a nonfiction book answer, Louis. Like this is right up my
Yes.
alley.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, sometimes, and it's really hard to tackle because we don't like when certain like if an older person talks about it or a younger person, it's like, oh well, they like it sounds like I don't want to listen to the older people, but it's like, no, I do. I want to have like a collaborative relationship with them. Like I'm not saying I'm better and I'm not saying they're better. I'm saying, we're equals. And I mean, like, look at the work we do here. A lot of the students work with SAD staff because the SAD staff are here to empower them. And like in a way, we empower them. Like this is their job, and we're giving them stuff to do pretty much. And it's a nice collaborative empowerment relationship.
Yeah, and that actually goes to talking about just kind of our structure. Like I think sometimes people are maybe, I don't want to say confused, but it's just how SAD structure and how how are we set up to empower youth? Well, the point is that we are an organization that has, oh gosh, maybe 20 staff, like, and the vast majority of them are state coordinators that are working within the states. Our our work is not done by staff. Our work is done by empowering chapters and members, and we're talking thousands, like tens of thousands of students across the country doing the work. Like, like almost feel like the planet Pluto, or what used to be the planet Pluto, right? In some like big old solar system that is youth empowerment, right? And so like the little work that I can do is about really working with people like you, and giving you the space to feel like we can have the conversation, that we are equals in a way that the issues of importance that we should be talking about and strategizing on how we can really elevate that voice and the importance. If we're constantly set up, and we're not, but if we were to be set up in a way that hinders that voice, um the question is, why the heck do we exist then? Right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And the work that we do, like if we sit here, we argue, oh, the older people know what they're doing, the younger people don't know. Like if we sit here and we just keep arguing about that kind of stuff, it's like where do we get with the prevention work? Where do we get, with the safe driving efforts? We can't get anywhere because we're the roadblock is the first step, which is collaborating, having the partnerships and the relationships. And the SAD members, like I mean, in general, like they can't do it alone. We have the advisors, we have the parents, we have the SAD staff, but then we have so many students, and it just it's a working relationship, and that's what makes us successful. The students, again, they can't do it alone, but we can empower them. Which I'm gonna piggyback onto this, Scott. I know you recently wrote a blog in our newsroom about SAD advisors, and you should have one about like a letter to parents coming out soon. You want to share or elaborate on anything about those?
yeah, so again, this kind of goes back to history thing. So I tend to write based on that, and so I recently wrote a blog piece to advisors. I don't think it was posted yet. I guess I'd have to double check, and so, but if it's not, it'll be coming out here pretty soon. But I wrote a piece that specifically to advisors, and I said that advisors should really aspire to be a Plato, and for those non-history buffs, or in the philosophical realm, Plato was a Greek philosopher, an inventor, and I mean, he founded a school, developed his own version of Platonism, and taught its doctrines and stuff like that. But what I mean about aspiring to be a Plato is, what's interesting is that Socrates was his student, and Aristotle was, or wait, no, his teacher was Socrates, and his student was Aristotle. Arguably, Socrates and Aristotle, are just as important, if not more important, than Plato. And so what I, part of being, what I say about aspiring to be a Plato is, be willing to learn and take in the stuff that's taught to you, and really embrace it in a way that furthers you as a person, and then pass it along to the next generation. Like, we should all aspire to be that Plato that takes it and absorbs it and learns, and gets ready to embark on doing amazing things based on the things that you've learned. Again, shout out to my coach Rick Thompson. I'm totally going to send this to him when I find him again. But be able to pass it on. Like, and hopefully whoever you pass it on to, SADD students, the kids, like whatever, like be happy that then they take it and they run with it and they do better. They're maybe, they've gone on to bigger and better things than maybe you have. That's great. Like we should all aspire to that. We should all aspire to be a Plato. So it's something that I think sometimes is missed in the fact that we're all looking for a pat on the back, and we're all looking for maybe a trophy at some point. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I do think that we should be humble enough to, in terms of empowerment and working with SADD students, to pass along, the knowledge, open up the opportunity for conversation, listen and talk, work together, and actually be much better tomorrow than we are today.
Yeah, totally. You worded that so amazingly, Scott. And I agree because like the whole point of like learning and listening, that's how we're gonna get further. It's just having such an open mind, I think, is like one of the best skills to have. I know one of my friends, in her graduation speech, like that was the advice she left everyone with was just be open-minded wherever life takes you because there are so many different things that we can learn and we can adapt to. Like being open-minded is just really gonna help us. And something that I found like really, cool and so interesting that SAT has done is so obviously, we do like traffic safety, we do substance prevention, we do mental health, but just how it all intersects with each other, I think is super important to talk about because obviously we've got impaired driving, but then there's co-occurring disorder awareness. If you're struggling mentally and you look towards substances, but also the mental health and driving intersection. And I think those are so important to highlight because it even helps us get out of those like silos and like look, okay. And sometimes students are, torn like, oh, I'm really passionate about this, but like I also think this is a great thing. And it's like there's a spot to, do the things you want to do both, do all the things if you want.
Yeah, I think one of the things that sometimes we probably don't acknowledge as much as we should as an organization is that students probably are not seeking out SAD because they have a massive passion around traffic safety or a massive passion around health or mental health or substance use or abuse or even leadership development. More than likely, students are probably coming to us because they feel included, like they're a part of a community, that they feel welcome, they feel safe to do this kind of stuff. It's because of that we're able to talk and work together around traffic safety or health and mental health or substance use and abuse. And what ends up happening is that it's not that those kind of pillars of programming weren't important. Absolutely are, and they were. And literally, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure you would probably agree. Like, well, yeah, heck yeah. Like as a student, I want to, make sure that I'm talking about traffic safety and making sure that we're not distracted when we're behind the wheel. My gosh, like I want to be safe and I want my friends to be safe, and we should all return home to mom and dad and whoever, at night. And all of that's important, but I think one of the things that we probably haven't talked a lot about, and we should, is the fact that students are probably coming to us first and foremost because of us being welcome. We're an inclusive environment that they feel safe to have these conversations. And to kind of wrap it into what we're talking about as empowerment is that as an organization, then we give youth and students the platform to talk and to interact and to really expand upon the things that are important, what end up being things like traffic safety and health and mental health and substance abuse, leadership development. So to me, I think we can't lose track of that. I don't think we can lose track of the inclusivity, the feeling welcome, the part of something bigger than myself, and just the desire to have a positive influence on myself and others. Like I don't think SAD can lose that. And I'm hopeful, just to kind of sprinkle in some things of like, okay, maybe where's SAD going kind of thing, is that those kind of things need to be not only highlighted but elevated. And I think that the more that we elevate that, I think the more that at least I'm hopeful, the more I think we'll find that students are wanting to help mentor each other. That high school students are wanting to bring up the middle school students. That outgoing, SADD club, members are wanting to make sure that all the work that they did to build up and strengthen their SADD chapter continues. So they're going to want to mentor or bring up the next leaders. SLC, Louis, you're part of the SLC. Like, you want to make sure that all the work that you put in, that this passion that you not only had but grew over your engagement and your involvement in this, not only doesn't go away, but it's even strengthened. Like, what can I do for the next group of leaders that are coming through? So I think that if all we do is focus on like this one program or this one awareness campaign or this one thing, we're going to lose out on the opportunity to continue this inclusiveness, this inviting and welcomingness that will eventually lead to students helping each other, bringing up the next group that's going to take over when the Louis of the world move on to the next thing and stuff. So I think it's important to remember that, and I hope that as SADD continues to move forward, that we don't lose sight of it, because I think that's incredibly important in the way that we empower everybody in our work.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point about mentoring, because I mean, like, think of the inspiration that, all the younger students and younger chapter members or elementary students get. That's from the older students. You know what I mean? Like, you're not like, oh, I feel so moved because I want to be a SADD president. You're like, oh no, I saw this one SADD president was doing a really great thing. It's like, I want to be that one day. Or in elementary school, oh my gosh, these big high schoolers are down here. They're so awesome and they're doing so many cool things. Like, how do I get to do that? And then that's like something like a goal that they are working towards. And like, the older students can help them, they can mentor them because they really are a role model in this situation. And it's almost like, you know, the gap between the elementary and, the high school students, it's like the relationship that they have with each other, like that they're learning off of each other. Because I mean, like, high schools learn off of elementary kids, like, in a way we do. It's like if we could take that and have that relationship with the even like bigger generation gap.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I think that as an adult and as you know even a staff member at SADD, and as maybe even an advisor or a community partner or whatever, you know we should work together to elevate that. Like, this is kind of related, but like, I always, as a manager or supervisor, or even, I mean, I would even go so far as to see like a colleague and stuff. But I learned from another mentor, that as I began to further my career and maybe take on management or supervisory roles, one of the things this other mentor, and shout out Boris Martin, I know Boris, so I will definitely send this to him, and he can pat himself on the back for this one. Um, my job really is to break down barriers, not stand in the way. And so I think that part of that, as an adult or as a staff member of SADD, is to really work with with our students and with our chapters to do that. Like then the question is, okay, how? And I'm going to be honest with you, I may not know, but I know who I can kind of go to, right? I can go to the SADD chapter here at the school. I can work in partnership with this advisor at the school. I can invite people to have conversations, to do this, like, and then try to break down those barriers and not stand in the way, or my gosh, definitely not build them up. Like, we should be breaking down the barriers to progress the work that we're doing. So much so that, like, I think Louis and I were even joking, like when we were talking about this, we're like, oh, this is going to be like, and we're still kind of branding it kind of like this fireside chat series with Scott, the executive director, but really like this is a talk show with Louis. I just happen to be a guest, like right, like
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I agree. And, really trying to put it in perspective to, like I said earlier, when you empower them, like you get to that next step of like doing the work that really matters. Like it's that first step that's like, okay, what are you passionate about? And then how do you make change within that? I know recently there was like a film that was screened here at Ithaca, and the person was doing like other documentaries on like different youth leaders and the activists, and the first thing they was asked is like, what are you passionate about? And it's a good conversation to have because not only you learn more about each other and you learn more about the student or the advisor or whoever you want to know is passionate, you learn that thing that you can take and you can create change and you empower them to do that. And you're not like, oh, Louis, are you passionate about mental health? Like that sucks. You're not going to be able to do anything with that. It's like, okay, well, how do we do something with that? It's really that how, build them up, not break them down, even though it's so much easier to break them down. You know, just change doesn't just come overnight. So, if it was easy, everyone would do it. But, building each other up is just, it's so much more beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, and I think that it's a good reminder that like disagreement doesn't necessarily mean like that one person is right and one person is wrong, right?
Right.
Like, and I think sometimes, and I'll be the first to say this, like I think even in today's society, I think we're so polarized in almost like, okay, what I say goes and I have the answer. And like I said, like the last thing SADD needs is anybody like myself coming in and like putting a stake in the ground and be like, I got all the answers. Like that's not what this is about. Like, I may have thoughts and ideas and maybe a preferred direction or something like that. But ultimately, if the SADD students and the chapters and the staff and our supporters and our donors and our state highway office, funders, and like if everybody is like, okay, we're not listening, we don't agree with that direction, like then all of a sudden then it becomes polarized when it's like, okay,
Right.
let's have a conversation. Let's figure this out together. Because I'm the first one I will tell you this right now. SADD is bigger than me. And it's bigger than Louis. It's bigger than one person. So because of that, it really does require us to come together, have conversations from a staffing perspective, understand that our job is to give youth the platform to say, man, these are the things that are important, and these are why. And let me give you an idea of how we can maybe address this. My job is to listen, but I can ask questions and I can push back, and hopefully we build the culture that if I'm disagreeing with you, Louis, hopefully SAD builds a culture that you're like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but let me talk to you about this, Scott. And
Right.
hopefully I have it within myself to say, you know what, it's a good idea, Louis, or you know what, I hear what you're saying. Let's figure this out
Yeah.
together. SAD cannot be a polarizing organization at all. It just can't. And maybe this kind of goes into just being cognizant of time, kind of some of the last things I think you and I at least wanted to make sure we hit on, which is really kind of like where do we go next? Like, and who are the like who are the people and the organizations and the things around us that we have to make sure that we invite to the table to have these non-polarizing conversations and where we go. Um, I think that SAD has been around since 1981, and we have a plethora of organizations that we partner with, that we work together on. I mean, that could be other nonprofits, it could be other, it could be state offices, it could be funders and supporters, and we need them all. We need them all. And I think that the more that we find those schools, those universities. I see some chats. Barbara, I see yours, Peggy's, Rachel. We'll get to these, and San Diego State University. Yeah, like we should absolutely be inviting people around the table that are like, hey, we want to be a part of this. We're not going to be polarizing. We believe in elevating youth voices. We need to work together. Yeah, let's do it. Like, let's get people around the table. And it's going to take more than what we have already. And I think that's the important thing is that it really is going to take more than what we have right now. It's going to take donors. It's going to take companies. It's going to take a lot of people to find the partnerships and the collaborations to do the work that we do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Scott. Yes. So, I mean, do we want to, answer some of the questions in the chat now, or where do you want to go with the rest of this, Scott?
And it's didn't I just say this was your
I
talk
know.
show?
Well, you
Like
know
I'm
what?
I'm
Here.
like you know what I think that I first off I think we should just acknowledge a couple things. So I know Barbara's like wanted to start a SADD organization at San Diego State University. What I would say is we will absolutely connect and do this because what I think is interesting, and actually I don't even think we even mentioned this, but uh, and Louis, I don't want to take your thunder. You could probably talk about it more, but I was going to talk about just kind of the kind of the relaunch of what this college advisory council kind of looks like. So maybe before I even start that, maybe I'll just kick it back to you if you wanted to kind of
Yeah.
talk about that because that falls right into this empowerment, right?
Right. Yeah. So SADD is getting ready to bring back. So it used to be called the College Advisory Council. It's basically a group of post high school graduate students who are working together, who are still passionate about the things that SADD does and hoping to make a change. And we're really trying to, edit the narrative of that. So it's not like, okay, you go to college, you're invited. No, who are the people that are going out into the workforce? Who are the people that are going out to possibly do the military? All the different, aspects of life because SADD is such an important topic, like in a community, not necessarily just a campus, but in a community.
Yeah, and I think it's what's interesting for this is that I think we have maybe about 15 to 20 colleges that I'm aware of, and it could absolutely be way more than this, but I'm aware of about 15 to 20 that we know that we have some very active students that are within these colleges that just their passion and their desire to continue to elevate not even their voice, just their peers' voices and where they came from. Um, that absolutely just want to continue to work and the work that we do in traffic safety, that we do in health and mental health, that we do in substance abuse or misuse or leadership, it doesn't stop at high school. And so I think that where SAD is going is really seeing what this group can do and where does the voice need to continue to be elevated. I think it's an exciting time, to be honest with you. I'm
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. So hopefully Barbara's still on here. What I would say, Barbara, and I'm gonna have my email like completely inundated. And to be honest with you, that is a good day when my email's inundated. So what I would say, Barbara, is email me.
Okay, I just put my email in the chat too. Let me get rid of the first one. There's a typo. All right. Yeah, I just put my email in the chat too. I mean, always feel free, anyone who's here to reach out, especially like whatever setting you're working in, if it's college, high school, middle school, I've been in all the spots. Um, then, if I might not have the exact perfect answer, like someone in SAD can always help you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that's the easiest way to answer that.
yeah. Um, Peggy asked, mentioned about Louisiana getting a new state sponsor. So let me, this would be a good opportunity to maybe talk just really quickly about kind of the way we're structured and how we work. And so we have, number one, we have chapters, thousands of them across the United States. Like they and tens of thousands of active students within these chapters doing all kinds of work across the United States. We do have state coordinators based on funding that we receive either from the state. There's always some private foundations depending on what the goals of those funders are. And a lot of times when we get certain funding like that, we are able to then hire a staff member to really elevate the work within that state through the chapters and the student members. Um, will Louisiana be getting a new state sponsor, or kind of another state coordinator, or can we put some extra resources into Louisiana or any other state that we don't have a state coordinator? What I would say to that is we want to. We want to. Where it tends to be the hiccup is not because we don't want to or we don't have passionate people in there. In complete transparency, it really does come down to funding and making sure that we have the funding available to do those kind of things. We are a nonprofit organization. I'm going to just do a quick shout out. We're actually in the middle of a fundraising campaign right now to help raise some money to continue to work the work that we do. And as not a nonprofit organization, the more partnerships, the more funding, and the more ability to work together to find the resources to do that, the more that I always tell. I actually had conversations with funders about this just last week. I said we sometimes need quote unquote yes money, and what yes money is that help us say yes to another state. Help us bring in some funding, help us put us in contact with someone that can have funding to do this, so we can say yes to another state. So I know that was a really long answer. Will Louisiana get? We would absolutely want one. We absolutely want one. And we really, the hurdle is just finding the partnerships, the connections, the relationships to receive the funding to do that. Florida, the same way with Florida. We do have some good partners down in Florida that are doing some amazing stuff. As a matter of fact, Louie and I actually had a conversation with a couple of people from Florida when we were at a Lifesavers conference in Denver a couple of weeks ago. And so, yeah, so that's same thing with California. Same thing. California has a lot of things going on, and we still have partnerships. I will say this: the where we don't have state coordinators assigned, because I think I saw there's another, maybe I don't see it somewhere, but we do have we do have some staff that work with those states that do not have a specific state coordinator assigned to them. What I would say is that as a follow-up, we can really try to put you in with the right connection to help advance that. But again, if there's not a specific state coordinator assigned to it, it's not that we're not paying attention or we don't have staff that are looking at that. What it comes down to is capacity, and the more that we're able to work with partners and find funding and those kind of things, the better our capacity is to do those things. Ultimately, at the end of the day, and again, just to stay true to this topic, our hope is to empower youth, and we do that across the country. And the more that we're able to have the resources to do that more, we want to 100%.
Yeah.
What other question there, Louis?
Um, I'm just gonna reiterate too, like Scott and I, we both put our emails in the chat. Feel free to reach out if you have questions. If you're like, I really need help with something going on in our state, like we can guide you to the right person. Laura said, do you know if there are any groups for middle school advisors to work together from various schools? And my best advice for that is make sure you have MySAD downloaded, like the MySAD app, because there's basically like a feature where you can go on into the SAD Nation. There's like a group that you'll be added right when you join, and you can like see the stream, and you can, it's basically like, I don't know, it's almost like an internal Facebook is like what it reminds me of. It's so you like other SAD advisors will go on and post about what their chapters are doing. I know Rachel, who's here, is like the best at it. She's always out here posting. And that's a great way to network. That's how a lot of the advisors on there will network with each other. And you can be like, okay, what has everyone maybe done for, suicide prevention? Or how did you guys do recruitment? Advisor needing some help here. And someone will probably comment. And we also, our staff is on there too. So we'll always be like, is there some way we can help you? Here's our email, or here's the person you should email. So I would make sure that you have MySAD and a MySAD account. You can do it on like your web browser, or you can download the app. Just um, so I guess that's how I would answer that.
Yeah, good. Their question about like MAD. I saw there, basically have we worked with MAD and stuff. So interesting. Like SAD, you know, in not so many words, it's kind of been almost like a sister organization to MAD at some level. We definitely partner with MAD on a couple of different things. Just like any other nonprofit organization or any other collaborator that we would. So we do very, very distinct missions. I think part of when Louis and I were really talking about this opportunity was really to give a platform for us to especially as the new executive director, to kind of come in and kind of let people hear from me, yeah, right, and just have conversations about this. But it's also an opportunity just to kind of learn too, because sometimes we always just live our own little bubble, right? And like we kind of think we know, but we don't. And like, where do we go for more information? And so MAD is an amazing organization that has been around for a while and has had tremendous impact, especially when it comes to like traffic safety and victims' rights and those kind of things. And we partner up with them on multiple occasions. We definitely work with them on the advocacy side. They are massively active on state issues and laws and policy and those kind of things, and we definitely partner with them. But we are two very different and distinct organizations. And again, this is not a knock at MAD at all. But what sets us apart, really, as funny as it sounds, it's this 3-part fireside chat series. Like, that's what sets us apart. We are in the work, for lack of a better term, to just empower, engage, and mobilize students and elevate their voices on a student-led peer-to-peer organization. And that's what sets us apart. The more we can listen, the more we can actually really set up and do the work we need to do, in partnership with our students.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let me see if there are any other questions. All right, I think we got them all.
Pretty good. Yeah, maybe before we just kind of wrap up, maybe I'll just, if it's okay with you, Louis, just maybe kind of give a couple of like final thoughts here,
Yeah.
and then kind of move in. So first off, I just want to thank everybody. And again, we had a lot more people signed up for this, which I'm going to be honest with you, totally cool. I look forward, things pop up and things happen, and we look forward to kind of making this available. And if anything, I hope that this leads into more people having interest in the next one, which I believe is engaged to empower or engaged to change. And then the final one will be kind of mobilized. And so really just talking about where we're at, what we're doing. And, it's funny, I was having conversations, not too long ago, and, you know, some of the partners that I was talking to, wanted the answer right now. They're like, okay, where's SAD going? What are we doing? And I kind of had to kind of stop them a little bit and say, well, we got to listen. Like we can't make decisions irrationally and on the fly and without having all the information. And for me, and what was important about doing something like this is part of having the information is just listening and talking with people like Louis and our chapters and our members, um, and really just taking it in. And so, what I would say is that, um, work with us and work with our chapters and work with our students and just give them a voice. I think the more that we give them the voice, the more the answers are going to become way clearer as to where SAD's going. It's not because necessarily Scott's going one way, it's because SAD's going to go one way. And it's going to be because we're actually listening and trying to elevate and empower our youth to have a voice, to stand up, be positive, have a passionate, commitment to change, want to save not only their lives, but their peers' lives. And in some aspects, my hope is to then create a path for those that are coming behind them. And SAD's been around since 1981, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not a novel idea. That's what SAD's been doing since 1981. My hope is that we do it better, and more.
Yeah. All right, so I can close it up here. Scott, there's a question in the chat if you want to get that one. But thank you everyone for joining and coming and being a part of the conversation on how to empower and how we can create change through empowering. It really means a lot. I mean, like I'm a student who's sitting here talking and you all are empowering me to talk about this. So thank you all truly from the bottom of our hearts here at SAD. Please, if you have a SAD chapter, you're looking to start one up, or all of the different things with SAD, the My SAD app is like your one-stop shop. That's where pretty much everything is, from trainings to, our newsroom, to logging your events, to the channels where you can communicate and network with each other. It's really great. It's a reminder too that on May 16th will be our Engage to Change, and May 29th will be our Mobilize to Change events. This recording for this one will be made available very soon. And yeah, thanks everyone for showing up, and really thank you for continuing to empower our students and our advisors and all the people that are under that umbrella of, what SAD is. So thank you.
Awesome. Louis, thanks everybody for coming in, and hopefully we'll make some time to attend the next ones. But Louis, thanks, my friend. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
Awesome. Everybody have a good night.